Welcome to Jay's Updates, where I give you my take on all things crypto gaming. And boy, do I have some information for you guys today. Illuvium has finally announced some information regarding the land sale. It's really in detail in terms of how the land sale will be taking place and what kind of auction we'll be seeing. And there's actually two PDFs that got released today. There was one on the land sale and one on the new staking protocol that's going to be initiated in the next few months. But since the land sale has been something that a lot of people have been anticipating, I think we should go over that first, okay? So let's start off with the simple summary here, okay? And so it goes by saying, the Illuvium minigame, now officially called Illuvium 0, will soon be ready. Leading up to this, we must get approval on the details of the land sale. Following this, IIP will be the release of 2 additional guide documents, one describing Illuvium 0 in more detail and one detailing how to buy in the land sale. While these are not specifically required for this IIP, they will give much needed context in an easily digestible way. And so then it goes on to the abstract, which says, a 3D isometric city building game is being developed using Unity and is getting closer to its alpha release. That is something I think we've already all known if you've seen the footage that they've provided on their YouTube channel. So it goes by saying, this requires a land sale to take place, which will mint the land players will use to play Illuvium 0. This land sale will be hosted in the Illuvidex and represents our largest web app to date and needs to be configured in a way that is approved by the council. Okay, so let's look at the overview for the land sale timing. So the total duration of sale will be 3 days. Plots sold per batch is 278 plots. Batch release rate is 1 per hour, and the duration of each batch is 2. So I think that is a good consistent rate for us to start off with. Practically, this means that every hour, approximately 278 new plots will be activated for sale. At this point, they will start reducing in price until someone purchases them. There's nothing needed to do for purchases besides selecting the plot and paying the price on display. If you wish to buy for a lower price, wait for it to drop, but also know that you risk that plot being purchased by another person. Right, so that's a very standard Dutch auction style in which you have a base price, and over time that price is going to get lower until someone makes the purchase on that land. Okay, so since batches are released every hour, there may be some overlap, as one batch will be 1 hour old, approximately 30% of the starting price, and the other will be brand new. Each batch will have roughly the same ratio of tiers as the overall land numbers. Okay, interesting. Okay, so let's look at the land NFT numbers. This is something that we've also been waiting to hear about. And so as you can see here, the total land NFT plots will be 100,000 land plots. That is a lot of land plots, but I'm sure that is going to be eaten up pretty quickly. And so for the first sale here, we're going to have 20,000 land plots going for sale. And so here's how many we're going to have of each tier. So for tier 5, we're going to have 2 land plots. For tier 4, we're going to have 869 land plots. Tier 3, we're going to have 2,088 land plots. Tier 2, we're going to have 5,012. And Tier 1, we're going to have 12,029 land plots. Okay, it's going to be interesting to see how much this is going to be worth. I hope they do go into that later here. So let's keep going. So now we talk about the land NFT details. Yes, so this is all the information that we've been waiting for a very long time. I'm so glad it's finally here for us to read and look over. So let's see. Land NFT details. Each plot of land will have limited details available before purchase as outlined below. So region, there are 7 regions in total. Region affects the probability of alluvial affinity scanned. Okay, so that's all we have for regions. So it's going to be pretty basic information. I believe in the coming weeks, we're going to get more details on the lands, as the land sale is supposed to be coming in the next few months here. So let's go to tier. There are 5 tiers in total, correct? Tier 0 is not sold. Interesting, okay. Tier affects the number of element and fuel sites as well as the landmarks available. Location is only relevant. Let's talk about location. Location is only relevant for future expansions where adjacent land may be available or may be able to be merged. Nice. So you're going to be able to merge future land plots, sales, that are provided in the land plot sales, which is nice. I thought you would actually have to get the ones right next to the one that you're purchasing, kind of like Sandbox. But I guess you can just merge the lands that you purchase. So there is no confined location for these land plots. Okay, so once purchased, the immutable blockchain contract will mint an NFT containing details of the land plot, including a random seed, which can be used to deterministically generate the site details and landmark details which comprise the land plot. The deterministic function which generates these details will be stored in the immutable blockchain contract. We love immutable here, right? Because immutable X provides us with cheap fees and fast transactions, right? So, and can be used to verify that applications like the Illuvium 0 game client or the Illuvidex web application are honoring the land generation function as defined in the contract. This function generates the following details. So we are finally learning about the resources, right, or the utility within the lands, which are the sites and landmarks, it appears to be. So element sites, an array of element sites containing details of each site's type and location. Again, it's very basic, not really any details. So it is very vague, right? So let's keep going here, though. We will get more information, as I said. And once that does happen, I'm going to be updating you guys, of course. Anyways, fuel sites, an array of fuel sites containing details of each site's type and location. Then lastly, we have landmark, the type and position of any generated landmark, empty for those tiers which do not include landmarks. Oh, so some tiers are not going to have landmarks. Okay, interesting. Number of sites and landmarks per tier. So this is finally, I think, the information that is going to be very useful to us. Obviously, we've already been learning so much regarding the tiers. So there's 5 tiers, including a tier 0 that is not going to be sold, right? And so we have element sites, fuel sites, and landmarks, okay? And so let's hear about how many numbers of these things we get per tier. Okay, so land tier. We have tier 1, we get 3 element sites, 1 fuel site, but no landmark. Okay. Okay, then tier 2, we have 6 element sites, 3 fuel sites, and again, no landmark. Okay, so tier 1 and tier 2 don't have landmarks. Good to know. So then we have tier 3, which has 9 sites, 6 fuel sites, and 1 element landmark. Interesting. I don't know exactly what these landmarks are. Hopefully, we're going to be able to find out a little bit more as we keep reading. But tier 4 has 12 element sites and 9 fuel sites with 1 fuel landmark. This time it's a fuel landmark. And lastly, we have a tier 5, which has 15 element sites and 12 fuel sites. And it comes with a full-on arena. Nice. So, again, quantities of sites are defined, meaning that all land of a particular tier will have the potential to produce just as much as any other land plot. Good to know. Good. There will be minor differences due to variety and spread of sites. Okay. Location of sites on the plot, right? Because there's different regions. Synergy between sites and landmark. Synergy between sites and landmark. Oh, okay. Okay. So I think that is some detail regarding the landmarks that might tell us that there might be some sort of acceleration factor involved with landmarks and the sites that are right next door to them, but it isn't really conclusive. We feel the slight randomness adds an element of excitement to the sale. Okay, good. Wow. Okay, so we actually do have some prices here. Land NFT pricing. Geez, okay, nice. So let's do this. The land sale will use a declining price model, which will be configured with a starting value that declines over a 2-hour period at a rate of 2% per minute. Wow, so these drastically do decline pretty quickly here. So 2% every minute, the price will go down. So, okay, wow, I can't believe we actually have the prices here. So let's go by the tiers. So starting price for tier 5 land plot and first sale is going to be held through a silent auction. Okay, that might be a little different than the Dutch auction, and it just might be whoever bids the highest. Obviously, because there's only 2 being sold, it's very scarce. So it's going to be treated a little differently. But let's continue. So starting price for tier 4 land plots will be 20 ETH. 20 ETH. Okay, that's expensive. We're talking about like $90,000. That's pretty pricey, but I didn't really expect that expect anything else, because these land plots are going to provide a lot of value to the people who own them. Okay, but that is crazy, guys. That is absolutely crazy. So starting price for tier 3 land plot and first sale will be 5 ETH. Okay, so that's more like $25,000. And starting price for tier 2 land plot will be 1.5 ETH, so we're talking about like $6,000. And then lastly, we have starting price for tier 1 land plot and first sale, which is 0.5. So we're talking about like, $2,100. Interesting. Okay, so I like this price point here. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be disappointed to hear that tier 3 through 5 are a bit pricey. However, if you have been investing for a long time, this is something that you've been waiting for and have been preparing for. So I myself am looking at that tier 3. Hopefully, when the sale happens, it won't be so chaotic, because I definitely want to get my hands on these. Now, obviously, if you guys don't have the funds by the time of this first land sale, you will always have time for the next ones, because this is only going to be 20,000 of the 100,000 land sales that will be available for sale. So don't worry about it too much. However, based on the math that I'm already providing to myself, I think if I could try to get some tier 3s and then maybe some tier 1s, I could have a pretty nice setup for myself. But something I did want to point out here, if there is one flaw, okay, I'm going to be completely honest, it would have to be with the tier 1 and the tier 2, right? So if the price point of the tier 2 is 1.5 ETH and the tier 1 is 0.5, right? So the tier 2 is 3 times as expensive. So therefore, it should provide 3 times the amount of utility. But if you look at the amount of element sites, fuel sites, and the landmarks, of course, none of them have the landmarks, so you're basing it just off of the sites, you'll notice that the number of element sites only multiplies by 2. However, the number of fuel sites does multiply by 3. So that's correct. However, it's a little strange that the element sites are only increasing by a multiple of 2. So I would have liked to see that be 9 element sites, so therefore the pricing would make sense, because why wouldn't you just buy 3 tier 1s then, instead of trying to get that tier 2? It doesn't seem like there's a point, right? So I hope they do look into that. Hopefully they do try to resolve that. But here is a chart here. Okay, so this is a graph discussing how the price of these land plots will be going down as the time passes, right? Because every 2 minutes we do see a decline of 2%, right? The next 2 hours. Okay, so from 100 to 0, you have 2 hours. So tier 5 land will be sold through a silent auction, as there are only 2 available. Correct. Okay, so we are almost done here, guys. It's very important information. I did want to just kind of discuss all of it from beginning to the end, because we don't really want to miss out on any valid information that could be useful down the road when we are trying to make our purchase. Okay, so payments. ETH and SILV can be used as payment methods for land, but not in one transaction. Okay, so yes, I actually already knew that you could use SILV to use for your transactions, and that is just the reward currency for staking your Illuvium. But it's nice that you can actually also use Ethereum for this sale. However, you cannot combine the two. You can't buy land with a little bit of SILV and a little bit of ETH. You need to just buy all from one currency. So while SILV will not attract external revenue, it will incentivize current token holders to claim their yield tokens as SILV, which is definitely what I plan on doing. This phenomenon will massively reduce the total supply of ILV long term. That is correct. We love to see those burn mechanisms get into play here, and it's going to be very massive for this land sale. Revenue distribution. Landowners will have the opportunity to earn revenue from players in the main game through novel use of a balancer multi-token weighted pool. They will do so by swapping fuels they generate in-game for ETH. Interesting. Okay, this is coming in with a lot more information. This is talking about how we're going to be earning in this game. This is it, guys. This is it. So let's start over. Landowners will have the opportunity to earn revenue from players in the main game through novel use of a balancer multi-token weighted pool. They will do so by swapping fuels they generate in-game for ETH. On the other side, players in Illuvium will swap ETH for fuel, which is used to complete all transactions in the game except for Illuvidex trading between players. There you have it, guys. That is essentially how this process is going to work with land. It's kind of going to go vice versa for people who are owning the lands and those who are needing the resources that the lands provide. Awesome. The target will be for landowners to be able to earn approximately 5% of the total revenue generated from in-game purchases in Illuvium. This is achieved by the Illuvium DAO swapping 19 fuel for every 1 fuel swapped by players of Illuvium 0. Okay, interesting. Interesting. So I am seeing a lot of discussion regarding the fuel system. However, I don't really see anything regarding the other element sites and Illuvium landmarks. Not Illuvium landmarks, sorry, the element landmarks. So I'm sure they're going to talk about that at one point as well. But you can see here clearly that the fuel system, it works hand in hand with people who are playing the game and those who own the land. Okay. Change to Illuvium pricing. The goal for Illuvium 0 is to make it exciting for landowners to have some agency, which includes having an influence on the price of the fuel they swap, as well as having an influence on the main game. Interesting. So you're going to have an ability to decide the price of the fuel they swap, or actually at least have an influence on it. That's crazy. However, the main game requires some level of stability in order to function well. We have come up with a solution to these requirements. Fuel. Okay, so we're going to be talking a little bit more about fuel here, which is required for all in-game interactions. Will not be fixed to USD. Instead, pricing in-game will be a fixed amount of fuel. This, however, would cause fuel prices to fluctuate significantly depending on the actions of the landholders. Instead, the DAO will automatically supply to withdraw fuel from the balancer pool if the price differs from the base price by more than 25% in either direction. Wow, that is really innovative. I love that. Okay, so essentially what they're saying is that the DAO is going to supply or withdraw fuel depending on the base price if it's differed by more than 25% in either direction. Okay, that's very interesting. Practically, this means if demand for fuel is higher or lower compared to the production, the price of actions in Illuvium can increase or decrease by up to 25%. Okay, so no more, no less. This, actually, less, but no more in either direction. So this gives agency to landholders to sell when the price is high. It also players of the main game to buy fuel when the price is low. Council can at any time adjust the parameters of either the base price for fuel or the percentage variance allowed. By the way, that sentence previous was huge, guys. It kind of gives you a very confident time to sell and buy the resources based on the algorithm that they're providing here, which is that's massive. I love that. It makes it like a safe investment. They can also adjust the approximate percentage of revenue received by landholders. Okay, so there's some power by the council so that the landholders don't just form a monopoly and just take hold of all the resources and price it too high. They've made a lot of solutions here to prevent that. SILV will not be used to swap for fuel. Instead, SILV will be used as an alternative to fuel pegged to the price of ILV. Interesting. It's an alternative to fuel. Wow. Oh, I mean, that's massive. So, okay, SLB will have similar impacts, I believe, as fuel, is because it's an alternative. Interesting. So we have one last page here, layer 2 developments. We are currently in talk. This is huge, guys. Layer 2 is massive for this game to function. Illuvium has already said that they're going to be using Immutable X. So here's some details on that. We are currently in talks with IMX to find a way to operate the sale on layer 2. They're trying to make the sale on layer 2. They're trying to make it on IMX. That means that we're going to have cheap gas fees and gas transactions when we're trying to make these purchases. Huge. Due to technological limitations, this is currently not likely. Oh, it may require some centralization. Interesting. Okay. Due to the relatively high cost of land compared to gas fees, in this case, we'll bias decentralization over gas costs. However, if a solution presents itself to operate the sale in a decentralized way on layer 2, we will do this. So I guess we will not be doing it on layer 2, in fact. Essentially, we are going to be having the higher gas costs. Please note that this may add some small delay to the sale. We are also negotiating the prospect of having the balancer weighted pool and the entire staking architecture on layer 2. Right. The original plan, which would be massive, by the way, because as I've stated in my previous video on Illuvium, which you guys should check out if you haven't yet, I stated that, to withdraw your funds or to stake or do any of that within that protocol, it costs a lot of money in transaction fees because there are multiple transaction fees that you must put into place. So it's crazy. And they're going to be putting out a layer 2, however, so that's going to fix those issues. The original plan was to operate entirely on layer 1 for both staking and the balancer pool, with the Illuvium game existing on layer 2. However, if we are able to migrate before launch, we will do so. Operating the entire protocol on layer 2 is the essential goal and opens up a larger number of opportunities. That's correct. Keep in mind that staking on layer 2 would still have gas costs, obviously, as it is not minting or swapping. However, the cost would be a fraction of layer 1, a hefty fraction, or a very small, minute fraction, I should say. Lastly, we have rationale. By providing all the details of the land sale early, we can make sure the community are well informed. That we are a little more so. I would like a lot more information regarding all the mines and the landmarks and the sites, I mean to say. But other than that, it is very nice to see a lot of clarity here. There was no confirmation on the release date. However, as I said earlier, there was an interview in which Kieran said he was aiming for January 2nd or 3rd. Changes to the above, all the details above have been thought through carefully, and we feel they are mature enough for the council to consider, right? So nothing is finite until the council says so. Changes to the above are, of course, acceptable. However, the community should understand that some changes will result in increased time to market. But as always, we urge the community to focus on getting things done well rather than just fast. And we saw how well that worked out with the trailer, right? Definitely paid off. But yeah, guys, that's essentially everything that they have regarding the land sale. I'm super excited, guys. Very, very informative in terms of how the sale is going to be taking place, the structure, as well as the prices. So let me know if you guys are happy or disappointed with these prices, if you were expecting it to be more or less, as well as the number of lands. Also, whether you guys had any issues with the land tiers. Again, my personal issue was the tier 1 and 2 not being a multiple of 3 when the pricing is a multiple of 3. It seems like a very obvious issue. But other than that, I'm extremely excited. I mean, I cannot wait, and I definitely want to get my hands on these lands when they are released. So I hope you guys enjoyed this information. Please do like this video and subscribe to my channel, as it really does help out with the algorithm. And I hope to see you guys on the next one. Bye now.